All right, our final rule. I know there's a lot of rules, but the final one is the quotient rule. So this happens if we are dividing. So you can see, I think it's a little bit easier to look at this one. When it's u over v, it's the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom over the bottom squared. There's this fun little helpful formula. If we do it as high over ho, it goes ho d high minus high d ho over ho ho. If you've ever seen Snow White, there's a song in there that uses ho d high d ho. So it's just a helpful thing. Or you can say low d high minus high d low over low low. I've heard that one before. But if we're given a fraction, sometimes it's easier to just move the exponent like we did in the earlier examples. Like if we look in example 4 here, it was easy to move that fraction into x to the negative fourth. You could have done this quotient rule for it, but it's a little trickier or a lot more work. So depending on the problem, sometimes the quotient rule is quicker, sometimes it's not. But if we have something like x over x squared plus 1, and we go ho d high minus high d ho over ho ho, that's this setup. So if we were to simplify this, our problem would simplify to r ho. The d high derivative of x is just 1 minus high times the derivative of the low one is 2x. And then what's really nice is you can just leave this, the bottom, squared. And you are welcome to leave it in that form. Now if you wanted to call this x squared plus 1 minus 2x squared over this, sure, you could. But again, we don't usually simplify it. We usually just keep it in the form, because if you had to plug in x, it's not too challenging to plug it into something like this. Okay, I want you to pause the video and try example 15 with the quotient rule. All right, here is your final answer. Now, as you're you will just need to memorize these, and as you memorize them, remember that the quotient rule has a subtraction sign, whereas the product rule has an addition sign. They're very similar, but there are some differences. So that's one of the main ones, is the sign of things. And then again, if you just say this little helpful ho d high minus high d ho over ho ho, it really does help you remember it. All right, the final thing for this lesson, you can derive as many times as possible. So we usually use this as the first derivative, y prime or dy dx, but you might see something like this where it has y with the 2 apostrophes. Well, that is the second derivative. Or you might see 2 in the derivative. That means that's the second derivative. So as you take a look at this table, these are just the different notations you can look at. So in example 16, when it says d4 over dx4, it's saying find the fourth derivative. So you'll derive 4 times to get to the final answer. Notice it's addition and subtraction, so you can just derive each individual piece 4 times, and that's your final answer. So why don't you give it a try, pause the video, and then play it when you're ready to check the answer. Alright, there we are with the fourth derivative. Usually after 3 apostrophes, we just switch to the number. So if you notice, I went y to the fourth. That's not y to the fourth power, that's y to the fourth derivative. Alright, example 17, notice it's a fraction. So which rule are you using? Also recognize that this is the double derivative. So this might be a time where you want to clean up your answer to derive again, because as simplified as you can make it, it makes a next derivative easier. So go ahead and try the quotient rule with this one, and then derive whatever answer you get again. Alright, so again on the left side, when you have to find the first derivative, you can just leave it as is. But because you asked to find the second derivative, it was helpful to simplify it to this, because now finding the second derivative, we can do ho d high minus high d ho over ho ho. And actually this one simplifies really nicely because the top is a constant. This is just 0, and then we're subtracting a negative, so that actually makes it positive. So we can actually simplify the second derivative really nicely to 2x minus 2 all over x squared minus 2x plus 1 squared. Okay? The last one, you're given the fourth derivative and you are asked to find the fifth derivative. So what's nice is you actually only have to derive once. They got you to the point where it was a fourth derivative, so you just have to do one more to find the fifth derivative. Pause and then play to finish off this video. Alright, there you have it, all of our shortcuts. Tomorrow in class will be a work day, so come with your questions, come with stuff to work on. Alright guys, have a great rest of your day.